another lesson, and it's lesson 7. In this lesson we're going to be looking at the slide scale in G played further down the neck. Let me show you how to do that. Now once again, for the sake of clarity, I'm going to indicate where the notes are with my fingertips so that you can see the frets clearly and accurately. Here I am at the 5th fret, 1st string, then I'm going down to the 3rd fret, and now you can play the open 1st string like that, but you can also play, instead of the open string, the 3rd fret 2nd string, because that is actually the same note as the open 1st string. So we have or. Now let's continue down the scale. We go to the 1st fret, 2nd string, and then we go to the 3rd fret, 3rd string, and then we play the open 3rd string to complete the scale. So we have or, now as an alternative to the open 3rd string, you can play the 5th fret, 4th string like that. So the 4th string, 5th fret is the same as the open 3rd, as you can hear. Now let me demonstrate with the slide. Or those were the two alternative fingerings we can do in terms of notes down here. So we slide, and all you do is tilt the slide up to catch the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, like that. Now remember, you don't need to use all the slide for all the strings, as I mentioned in the earlier lessons. And in the case of the 1st string, you have to be careful that the string isn't too near to the fingerboard, so it's quite typical to slide it like this rather than place the slide right on top of the string. So we have open, or, like that. Then we'll continue down, 1st fret, 2nd string, then 3rd fret, 3rd string, then open, or, down here. Let's continue now, completing the scale on the remaining strings. Here we go. Once again, I'll show you the scale with my fingers. Now we left off on the 4th string, which was a G, or alternatively the open 3rd string, which is the same note. Now continuing down from the G, another octave, we go, I'll start on the 4th string, 5th fret, like this, and then 3rd fret, all on the 4th string, and then we go open 4th string, then we go on to the 5th string, 5th fret, and then the 3rd fret 5th string, and then we play the open 5th like that. That completes our octave. So starting again from the 4th string, we have 5th, 3rd, open, 5th string, 5th fret, 3rd fret, open. Now we can also play, instead of the open 5th string, we can play the 5th fret 6th string, which of course will give us a G as well. And for extra notes, which are still contained within the scale, we can go down to the 3rd fret 6th string and then open 6th string, like that. Now I'd like to demonstrate the scale using the slide. Now I'm starting on the 4th string at the 5th fret. Here we go. And of course we can include the extra notes. The open 6th string and then back. We can throw in a nice little slide there if we want to, from the 3rd fret to the 5th. Now be sure when you're playing from the 4th string down that you're paying strict attention to tilting the slide upwards, otherwise you may find you'll get some other tones from the 1st second and third string. So when you're playing it, keep it almost tilted up at this angle. Then you'll get some cleaner notes like that. Now this scale is a little harder to play than the one that you learnt further down the neck. If you've practiced it thoroughly and you feel comfortable with it, you'll be ready to go on now and learn some very cool sounding phrases. Here we go. Now here's our first lead phrase. And this is how I did it. I start again, I'll show you with my fingers. I'm sliding from about the second fret along, I'm playing the second string, and then back and forth, a little like we did with the first lessons where we did that same kind of thing on the 12th fret, only with the slide, like that. So it's, and then to the third fret, third string, and it slides back, like that. And then finally, a slide from the third fret, first string, tilt the slide over, along to the fifth fret. So from first to fifth. Once again. And that's a very nice sounding little phrase there. Now a really important point I should mention. In addition to being able to tilt the slide to access certain strings in a clean manner, that is where you don't pick up the tones from the other strings, also try not to be in such a rush to actually play your slides from one note to another. For example, at the end of that phrase where you're on the third fret first string and you slide up to the fifth, hold back a little bit. The beauty of the slide is you can sustain the note and then move it along without having to go like right away. I mean, it's your call. If you feel like the phrase requires you to play a fast slide, that's fine. But all too many times, especially with chords, say from the third fret to the fifth, a lot of people starting out with slide will always want to suddenly rush. Like they'll play the note and they'll move far too quickly instead of a nice laid back sound like that. And that applies, of course, to this phrase on one string, where you're at the third fret at the end. And you just take your time. Like that.